Thank you for joining me here today. Find your way to your mat, and then find a place to settle in. Close your eyes and begin to focus on your breath. Notice how the breath moves the body, how the body responds to the breath. Notice what you can still see behind your closed eyelids. Notice the weight and texture of your clothing and how the air feels against the exposed areas of skin. And then bring your awareness to the space of your heart and use this time before we start to move to set an intention for your time on your mat today. Short word, phrase, something to dedicate your practice to. And then when you are ready, take your hands down if you've had them to your heart, and then make your way onto your back. And then once you're on your back, bring the bottoms of your feet together and let the knees fall gently out to the sides. Take your arms out into a T. And with the palms facing up, as you exhale, bring the palms together in front of you. And as you inhale, bring the arms back out to the side in that T. So with each inhale, you open, and with each exhale, you close and bring the palms together. Keep pressing the bottoms of your feet together. Lift and spread the toes away from each other. Keep the belly toned. Each time you bring the palms together, you might want to raise your fingertips a little bit closer to the ceiling. Get a little bit of opening in the back heart space. And the next time the palms are together, clasp the hands together, bend the elbows slightly, and then take your arms up and over your head. So now notice how the upper body is a mirror to the lower body. And when you're ready, you can start to step the head and the shoulders over to the right. And go all the way over to the right, keeping the bottom half of your body where it is. At this point, you may be feeling sensation in the left side body. And when you're ready, you can step the head and shoulders back through the center and then off to the left. Keep the belly toned, the feet pressing together. Keep focusing on your breath, the sensation that you now feel on the right side. Ready, you can step the head and shoulders back through the center, bring the knees together, bring your feet underneath your knees, about hips distance apart, and then lift the feet up off of the floor. Keep the belly toned and tailbone pressing down. And take your hands to the back of your thighs, just underneath your knees. And with each inhale, straighten the legs out, sending the heels up toward the ceiling. And with each exhale, bend the knees. So move with your breath. Keep some opposition between the hands pulling back and the legs moving forward. And the next time your legs are straight, pause and get a little bit of movement in the ankles. So point and flex, circle the feet, whatever feels good to you. And then when you're ready, you can bring the feet back down. And then take a hold of your strap and place it at the ball of the right foot. Keep the left leg out long, heel pressed down. And with both hands on the strap, begin to bend and straighten the right leg. And then take a hold of the strap just with your right hand and begin to take the right leg out to the right just a little bit, and then back through the center and a little bit over the midline to the left. Keep moving like this with your breath, just noticing sensation. You don't have to move a lot. This can be a very small movement and still be effective at opening the hip. And now pause with your leg up, take a hold of both straps, place the left foot up into the strap and lower the right leg down. Press the right heel down to the floor, toes pointing up. And now take a hold of the strap just with your left hand and begin to bend and straighten the left leg just like you did the right, and then begin to take the left leg over to the left, and as you exhale, bring it back through the center, across the midline, and a little bit over to the right. Move with your breath. Keep noticing what's happening with the right leg and the right foot, toes pointing straight forward. Notice as you move a few times, you might be able to go a little bit farther, open a little bit more each time you take your leg over in one direction or the other. Just notice sensation. And the next time the leg is straight up, place a bend into the knee and release the strap and place it to the side. And place the feet back underneath your knees. Place the hands at the small of the back where you feel that space between the tailbone and the lower back rib cage. Straighten the legs out, sending the heels toward the ceiling, lifting and spreading the toes. And with each inhale, take one leg down and forward. And as you exhale, bring that leg back to the starting point. Use your breath to set your pace. So each inhale, you are taking one leg forward and down. With each exhale, you're bringing that leg back up to the starting point. And again, move with your breath. Notice how it feels if you'd slow down just a little bit. Notice the effort that's required. Keep the belly toned, the front body braced, toes lifted and spread. And stay focused on your breath and sensation. You might want to pause with one leg forward and down to see how that feels. And then maybe do the same thing with the other leg. Notice the difference. And then bring both knees together, hug them in, to your chest with your arms and just release for a few moments here. Breathe deeply into the belly. And when you're ready, take your feet back down underneath your knees. Place your hands at the small of the back. Lift the feet this time. Place a bend into your knees so that your knees are over your hips and your feet are straight out from your knees. Lift and spread the toes. Brace the front body, and keeping the legs exactly as they are in that 90-degree bend, start to take one leg forward and down, just like you did before, and exhale, bring that knee back to meet with the other. So on the breath, move from side to side. Each inhale, you're taking one leg forward and down, tapping the heel down, and then with the exhale, bring it back up. Move with your breath. Play around with the pace. Notice how it feels if you slow down a little bit. Maybe notice how it feels if you'd pause with your heel just above the floor rather than tapping down. And again, it's all about noticing. Just keep your focus on sensation and your breath. When both knees are in next, hug them into your chest with your arms. Release. Breathe deeply into the belly. And when you're ready, roll over to your side so that you can come up to hands and knees. Once you're on your hands and knees, make sure your hands are under your shoulders, knees are under your hips, and feet are straight out from the knees. As you inhale, bring the shoulder blades together and look a little bit forward. And as you exhale, push the shoulder blades apart and look back at your legs. Move like this with your breath a few times. Keep the belly pulled in, the tops of the feet pressed down. And the next time you have your shoulders pressed apart, pressing yourself away from the floor, pause. And then send the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Keep the knees slightly bent, tailbone slightly lifted, and really press yourself away from the mat. Act like you're trying to bring your armpits together. Pause here, noticing that you are using every muscle of your body except maybe the muscles of your face. So check in, soften the muscles of your face. And keep focusing on your breath, pushing yourself away from the mat. And then begin to walk the feet back toward the back end of your mat, placing more space between the feet and the hands. Tone the belly, and with the inhale, start to take your shoulders forward so that they are over your wrists. And then as you exhale, push yourself back into downward facing dog. So move through this plank wave, focusing on your breath. With each inhale, you're coming forward into plank with the shoulders resting over your wrists. And with each exhale, you're pushing yourself back up into downward facing dog. And if you would like, you can pause in either place, in plank or downward facing dog, either place. Make sure that you are pressing yourself away from the mat, pressing the shoulder blades apart, keeping the belly pulled in. And then eventually come back into downward facing dog. Start to walk the feet to meet with the hands. Once you're in that forward fold, grab a hold of opposite elbows with your hands and just sway a little bit from side to side. Keep the knees bent a little bit. Lift the tailbone up slightly. Feel that rest. And then begin to bend the knees. Make sure the feet are hips distance apart. Send the hips down and back. Bring your shoulder blades together on your back. And with the inhale, lift the torso, lift the arms to frame your ears. So you're now in chair. Keep the shoulders away from your ears. Belly pulled in, toes lifted and spread. Fingers spread wide. Focus on something in front of you. Come to standing and place your hands on your hips. Turn to your right and step your feet wide apart. Toes pointing straight forward and belly pulled in. With each exhale, hinge at your hips into a half forward fold. And with each inhale, come back to standing. Move like this with your breath. And the next time you're in the half forward fold, release the hands from the hips and place your hands down on the mat between your feet. Take the toes out and the heels in. Knees are bent. Knees are tracking over your ankles. And then place one forearm at a time on the thigh, on the inside of the thigh, kind of pressing out as if you are trying to press your knees towards your pinky toes. Pause here. Come back to your breath. Keep it moving in and out through the nose. And then place the hands down, place a slight bend into the knees, and come up with a straight, strong, flat back. Place your hands on your hips and begin to bend and straighten both knees at the same time. Knees tracking over your ankles. And when your knees are bent next, pause. Take your hands up and overhead. Look up toward your hands. Pause. And then bring your hands back to your hips. Straighten out your legs. Bring your feet together and do a few Tai Chi twists here to release. And turn again to your right. Take the arms up and overhead. Right arm down, left arm up and over, both arms up. Left arm down, right arm up and over, both arms up. Bring the palms together. Lateral bend right and left with the palms together. Bring the hands to heart, hands to hips. And then step one foot back, the right foot back, pretty far back, so that you come into a warrior one posture. The left knee over the ankle, the right foot grounded. Once you get set up well, shoulders facing straight forward, take the arms up and over your head, look up at your hands. Breathe. Keep it moving in and out through the nose. And take your hands to your hips. Step the right foot forward. Tai Chi twist that out. And then turn again to your right. Step the feet wide apart. Hands on your hips. Toes out, heels in. And then bend both knees at the same time, just like before. Pause when your knees are over your ankles. Place one hand at a time on the inside of your thighs. Again, pressing out toward the pinky toes. And with each exhale, take one shoulder to the midline, looking over the opposite. Come back through the center on your inhale and just keep moving like this. Exhale, shoulder down. Inhale, center. When you feel even on both sides, come up with a straight, strong, flat back. Turn the toes forward, step the feet together, and release. Turn again to your right. Take your arms up and overhead. Right arm down, left arm up and over. both arms up, left arm down, right arm up and over, both arms up, palms together, lateral bend to the right, lateral bend to the left, hands to heart, hands to hips, and now turn to your left. Step the feet wide apart, hands on your hips, toes out, heels in, bend both knees at the same time, knees tracking over the ankles, hands still on the hips, belly pulled in, pause with both knees bent, arms up and overhead, fingers spread wide, look up at your hands. Notice where your thoughts go when you're in a place of effort and stillness. Come back to your word of intention. And then come to standing. Toes straight forward. Walk the feet together in Tai Chi twist. Turn to your left again. Inhale, both arms up. Right arm down, left arm up and over. Both arms up on the inhale. Exhale, left arm down, right arm up and over. Both arms up. Bring the palms together. Lateral bend to the right, lateral bend to the left. Come back to the center, hands at your heart, hands to hips, and now step back with the left foot into Warrior One posture. Right knee over the right ankle. Left foot grounded, shoulders square to the front wall. Once that front knee is bent, take your arms up and over your head and then look up at your hands. Notice any difference on this side. You were just here on the opposite side. Just notice. Don't judge. And then bring your hands to your hips. Step your left foot forward to meet with the right. Release a little bit and then turn again to your left. Take your hands to the hips. Step your feet wide apart. Toes out, heels in. Bend both knees at the same time. Knees tracking over the ankles. Lift and spread the toes. With both knees bent, place the hands on the insides of the thighs. And with each exhale, take one shoulder to the midline. Inhale, come back through center, and exhale, switch. Just like before, moving one shoulder in at a time, looking over the opposite shoulder. Pause in the center, bring your hands to your hips, straighten out your legs, turn your feet forward, and again release. And take your arms up and over your head on your inhale, bring your hands to your heart, hinge at the hips into that forward fold again. Step one foot back at a time into downward facing dog. Press yourself away from the mat. Lift the tailbone up a little bit. Bend the knees a little bit. And again, consider this place of rest. Let your head hang heavy. And step the feet back. Come out into plank with the shoulders over your wrists. Pressing yourself away from the mat. And then take your knees down and lower all the way down, or lower yourself all the way down through plank and keep your elbows in and come all the way down to the belly. And once you're on your belly, bring your forehead down to the floor. Take your arms down by your sides with the palms facing down. Brace the front body, press everything down into your mat. And with each inhale, Use the inhale to lift your head and shoulders up off of the floor, and with each exhale, lower back down. And then move like this a few times. And the next time you are lifted, pause. See what it would feel like to lift your arms as well. Maybe even your legs a little bit, the lower part of your legs. Keep everything on the front body braced. Try to keep looking down. And then release. Take your arms into goalpost arms or goddess arms. Take your gaze to the right and drag your right knee up toward your right elbow. Come back through center and switch. Gaze to the left, drag your left knee toward your left elbow. Keep the breath moving in and out through your nose. And come back through the center. Come back to hands and knees. And then transition over to your back with knees bent and arms by your sides. Press down into the feet, press down with the arms, and as you inhale, lift the hips up toward the ceiling, and with each exhale, lower down. So inhale, lift the hips, exhale, lower down. The next time the hips are lifted, pause. Take the arms up and over your head, keep the arms up, and begin to slowly lower the hips down. Once the hips are down, bring the arms down. Lift the hips, lift the arms, and slowly lower the hips back down. And just move like this with your breath, using your breath as your guide and noticing how it feels to lower the hips down one vertebrae at a time. Giving your spine a little massage here at the end of practice when we're slowing everything down. Bringing everything back to neutral. And the next time the hips are down, step the feet to the outside edges of your mat. Bring your arms into a T with the palms facing down, and just begin a few windshield wiper movements, taking the knees to one side as you take your gaze to the opposite side. And then bringing everything back to the center with each inhale. So exhale, knees over, gaze over. Inhale, center, and switch. And the next time your knees are to the right, pause and pick up your right foot and place it on your left thigh and take your left arm up and overhead. And come back to your breath. Come back to your intention. And whenever you're ready, you can switch sides. So take your knees to the left, pick up the left foot, place it on the right thigh, and then take your right arm up and overhead. And again, come back to your intention. Since we're getting near the end of practice, come back to where you began. Bring everything back to the center. Bring your arms down by your sides. Lengthen the legs out long. And find a place to settle in for Shavasana. And relax everything. Maybe start to scan the body, starting at the top of your head and slowly working your way down. Noticing each body part until you get to the very tips of your toes. And again, stay here for as long as you need to. And I thank you for joining me today. It is the light in me that looks out and sees that same light within you. Namaste.